although she did have an illness, which was quite tough for her, but she had multiple things going on, a lot of things going on in her body from since 1980, to be fair. But we just thought that she had the faith to recover, because if you were to speak to my mom, she would say, "Oh, during this year when I almost died, and then God did this for me, and then I came back." So that's how she sort of segmented her life, you know. But yeah, she was ill, and she came to be with me for the last 2 years. And then so everything was private here because she's not British. So everything was completely private. So we got the doctor to sort of link in and liaise with the doctors in Liberia. And also she was tired of the cold. We thought maybe it was making it worse. That maybe if she's in a warmer climate, with vitamin D, she would
Yeah.
feel a whole lot better. So I brought her back home 2 months before she passed.
So she passed away where? In Liberia?
Liberia, yeah.
Okay. All right. Again, I have our sympathy. And folks are asking, what did you do in school? We'll come back to your mom, but they're asking what did you do in school, educational wise?
Yeah, so in Maryland, I did healthcare administration. I did IT. So that was my major. I just really wanted to build hospitals and manage healthcare. So I just really needed to know that. So that's the reason I studied. Um, and then I went to Holland and I did my master's in ethnic and migration studies. Um, like I said, 2003. And then later I did my master's in law at Liverpool University, John Moores. So I did that.
So are you a lawyer?
Well, I'm not a practicing lawyer. And the reason I got into law was because I needed to know more about contracts. Is because of all the cases, because I was coming back and forth and seeing all my mom's cases, and it was just dire. So I just thought, what can I do? I need to know the laws, because prior to the current lawyers that we have now, honestly, the lawyers we had prior, it was just horrendous. You know, the things that they would say, the things that they would do, I couldn't understand why it was all the blockages in our cases. So I just really wanted to understand the law. So of course, when I wanted to help my mom, so I just went and did my master's in law, and I really did get an understanding for contract law and policies, and yeah, so that's the reason. But it wasn't really practice per se, but maybe in Liberia. But I think when I came to Liberia during that point, and I inquired about getting my bar, they told me that I had to go back all the way to law school again, and that and they even mentioned it wouldn't be good for them if I was a lawyer in Liberia. So I just sort of put that to rest. But yeah, so that's
Your,
why.
your, 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 I mean, what you learned
Mm,
couldn't be transferred?
I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can.
Okay.
Part of the process, but it was just
So let's get, so then here we are. The
yeah,
issue, your mother got sick
yes.
and she passed where? Which hospital? She passed at home or in?
So home. So the way I found out, I had spoken to her the day before, and she didn't really want anyone to know she was in Liberia, and she was like, "Okay, now you need to tell some people." This is what she said to me. You need to tell some people I'm here. So I told some people who she told me to tell that she was there, and but that day that she passed on the 21st, I was just in my office and I got a call from my nephew, and he said, please, can you confirm grandma's date of birth? And I said, why? This is about one, no, this is maybe about 12, 15. And he said, what's grandma's date of birth? And I heard some people crying in the background. So I said, but don't you know grandma's date of birth? And he said, oh, I'm confused. Can you tell me? And he said, oh, and I said, why do you need it? And he says, for her death certificate. And that my heart just dropped because I had just spoken to her the day before.
So
But you know,
wait. So you didn't know she died, but they asked you for the date of birth or death certificate. So no one reached out to you and said, listen.
I mean, the story is really. I think that they didn't think that I was going to take it well,
Okay.
and there were grandkids, and of course, they called our grand. a grandpa, a grand uncle, and so some elders were there, but they didn't know how to say. So she was surrounded by her loved folks, because we went to wake her up from the story I heard, and then she just didn't wake up. So they had gone to the hospital that she was getting treatment in, a private hospital, which I won't say, because she had a doctor and a private nurse at home, but they had left the day before. She was getting her drips and she was getting her vitamin D. She was getting everything intravenously. And I had spoken to her the day before, but she was telling me, Veronica, I'm tired. And I said, no, you can't be tired, So I was like, no, you can't be, you can't give in, is what I was saying to her. It's not possible. We're not ready yet. You have so much to see. And I was telling her, Mom, the cases, you're going to win your cases. It's like, yeah, but I'm just tired of fighting. I'm just tired. They just keep fighting me, meaning, some of the family members, which I will mention later.
Okay.
And I said, oh, you can't give in. So then from what I heard later, that she passed away in her sleep. So this is around 12. So they took her to quite a few hospitals, took her to the clinic that she had been treated in, although she was getting treatment from home, from a private physician. And so that's how I found out.
So is it okay to tell us the cause of death?
No, because I know there's been speculations. I'd rather not say, just because she didn't share it with people. And the reason she didn't share it with people, because she thought she was going to recover. So that's the reason. But I can say,
did the doctor tell you the cause of death? Those that pronounced her dead, did they say anything?
I got the death certificate, but I just haven't really looked at it. I was handed it when I got here, by my grand uncle, and I just didn't really look at it. So I don't know what they wrote as cause of death. I mean, it's still surreal having your mom's death certificate. So I was just packed in and waiting for my siblings to come. But I mean, we knew the primary cause, but she's always been well, because a lot of her causes were spiritual. So just say, for example, we would take her to hospital. She would be having all these things happening in her body, and then the scan shows nothing, She would have bruises, but then there was nothing. So we knew a lot of the stuff that was underneath it, So it didn't matter how it manifested to us.
So if you listen through this conversation, because we are having a conversation, I don't like to call this an interview. If you can answer, don't answer. But it's my work too. It's my job to ask you. Your mother, she was sick. Am I correct?
She was ill the last 2 years, but she's had challenges throughout the years. She had different health challenges, and a lot of those health challenges were unexplained.
So which one should be the takeaway? She was sick. What kind of sickness?
She was just ill. That's the thing. The thing is, she's no longer here because of an illness that manifested.
You choose not to speak about it, but you knew that she was diagnosed with some, because when you go to the hospital, they got to diagnose you, right?
She had that diagnosis. That's the reason I took her out to go and get treatments. And she had quite a few surgeries. And she would recover for a while, and then it would be great, and then she'll get ill again.
How old was your mother?
My mother was 71. She was born 1954, okay. July 18th.
Okay, wow. Your mother was 71 now. She was still young though. She was.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
I believe she was still young.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm saying it, look at Uncle Sam. He's 72 and he's still talking. But then look at your mother, she was still young. Again, have my sympathy. We're going to have a good conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to One-on-One with the CEO. We have Veronica Mamindo here. We're going to say it all. We're going to talk it all. So, I'm free to ask all the questions respectfully. And, Veronica is free to answer when she deemed necessary. But we want to say to you, share the show, tell somebody that the long-awaited interview with Veronica Mamindo is happening right now. We will take your question if you post your question on our live feed, but we'll not open the phone line. If you do have question, post your question. We will ask Veronica to continue to share the show, that we can come to some understanding here as Liberia. The former president, Master Sergeant Samuel Kanyando, he served our country, and the former first lady, she passed away, but we have to live on with her children, her family. And so it is only good to have this conversation. How's your brother, before we get to the other part of it? How's Doe Jr.? How's Samuel?
Sam, it's okay. I mean, he has been better. He's not great. We wish him to be better. So, but he's doing better. It's not what was printed recently, but yeah, he's having some health challenges.
Will he be able to? Will he come to Liberia for the funeral?
Definitely, by God's grace, yes.
Okay, so it means that he can get around, unless what people are young, right?
While yeah, he can definitely move around. Yeah.
Okay, so but who is Ambassador Asa Yamblo to the family?
So he is my my father's younger cousin. So he's my uncle technically, and he was a senator for about 9 years for Grand Jita. I don't recall the year, and then also he was pro tem.
Correct.
Madam, is it pro tem? Yeah, pro tempore.
Yeah, pro tem. Yes, pro tem.
For Madam Sirleaf's government, and then he was assigned in Europe as the ambassador for about 9 years. So he was the EU ambassador for about 9 years. So he's a very intelligent person.
How's your relationship with him? How's the family relationship with him?
I mean, our relationship is good. You know, he was a very instrumental person in my mom's life. You know, they were together in Guinea when she went there, and then when President Taylor invited her to Liberia, he accompanied her, and then they were together also during the refugee days in Ivory Coast. So he and my mom, they had a very close relationship, you know, before his appointment. So he is definitely a family member. And also he's been very great in terms of being on ground, you know, because when my mom passed away, we weren't here. Like I said, we weren't expecting it to be so sudden. We were just hoping that she would recover. And so he just took the horns, really, and he's been really pulling together this burial, liaising with the government and with senators. So he's really good strategically. He's really good politically. He's just an all-rounder. But for me, I only really met him the first time when I got back to Liberia last week. But I used to hear about him from my mom a lot, but I never really got to see him before. So the time that I was back in Liberia, I guess that's when he was really like EU, because I was really back in Liberia 2012. So maybe we just sort of missed each other. So I didn't really get to see him. But I did hear about him though.
So all of this, the only time in your life you met Ambassador Asa Yamblo is when you came to Liberia.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. So, but what is his role in this funeral arrangement and family arrangement? What is Ambassador Asa Yamblo role, and who gave him that role?
Well, you know, when my mom first passed away, he told me what he wanted to do and how he wanted to help us. And I was delighted because I wasn't on the ground. So his role, you know, because I've been working, my role as a management consultant is project management. You know, you manage programs, like I manage the UK COVID program. So you manage things from conception to implementation. So he's been on ground. He's just been in charge of everything. He's been in charge because he knows the tradition. He knows the formalities, you know, he knows the people everywhere. So he's just been really good. He's, I would say, a project director or project manager, but he had been linking in with me. We would communicate every day, you know, because I didn't get here until this week. I think I got here just about 2 weeks after my mom passed. So he was the one who's the to-go guy. He was speaking to everyone. He was coordinating the efforts with, you know, Dimitri Zwe in America. So he was getting that done. And then also with the people in Zwedru, he was getting that done. So pretty much he was just pulling it all together. But also he was linking with me. He was asking me, you know, what is happening, what we could do, what are the next steps. And, you know, so we were working together as a really good team, and we still are.
So who gave him the role? You? Or he just took it upon himself?
I think it was just unnatural. It was just a natural thing. So my role, program manager, so I know how to manage things. And I know the importance of having someone on ground. I think he just fell into it and he just took the opportunity, and he was just really heartbroken for my mother's passing, you know?
So, I mean, are you pleased? Is he performing well? Is he performing to your satisfaction?
I think he's doing an excellent job. I think he is.
Okay, so then we come to we get in there. If you think he's doing an excellent job, did he tell you to accept those gifts from the former president, George Manuel Weah?
No, he didn't. He didn't demand that I accept them. So what happened was, as you know, former President Weah was giving his speech. So first of all, he was the liaison, he was the link. So as the president was giving his speeches, and certain things he said that triggered me, and then I would say to him, "That's not true." He said, and then he would respond. And then something else would happen, and then I said, "I'm not going to accept that." He said, "Okay, we'll talk about it later." And then something else would happen. I said, this is unacceptable. So I was saying what I wanted, and he was saying, "Okay, probably not now, but I will sort it out." Do you understand? So it wasn't a defiance to say, "No, you have to accept it." I mean, the only time where he did that was when he was handing me the cash and I didn't want to accept it. And he was saying, you know, "Come on, take it. We'll talk about it. Take it." And I said, "No." He said, "Come on, take the cash. We'll talk about it." So probably the people behind us would have heard us. So then I took it, you know, took the cash. But he knew how I felt, because if there was a clip somewhere that I did see where you could see that I was linking in with him. So I was reacting to the things that was being said, and I was telling him what I was happy with and what I wasn't.
So before we get to the cash, because again, Nelson, can you upload all those videos and those clips? Before we get to the cash, Veronica,
yeah,
were you informed that the former president was coming at the program?
Yes. You know, I was really, really excited, to be fair. Okay, so my uncle had been linking in, Ambassador Nyambo had been linking in with me, and he had been speaking to, you know, to the former president. So everything was good. So what the scheduling was a conflict, because, you know, he had also been linking in with the current president, President Boyka, to come. So the understanding was, this is from the former President Weah, was to give President Boyka the chance to come, because he had already said he was going to come. It was just trying to work out the conflicts in his schedule. Do you understand? So we were expecting him on one day, but then he already had an event in Nimba, and he was trying his best to get there, but then he wasn't able to. So that meant that former President Weah's visit was pushed back, and he was happy with that. He was saying, you know, this is the current president. His schedule, you know, comes before mine. And even I remember, you know, so he was talking and said, "What is it that we wanted?" The pressing thing before we met the president, President Boyka, was the, you know, the whole cost and the whole thing regarding, you know, the embalmment, the caskets, you know, everything with that funeral arrangements. And so he was asking for invoices, and we hadn't gotten invoices at that time. And so he was really preemptive. He really wanted to get.
Who was asking for invoices? I'm sorry, who?
President Weah was really involved. Yeah. So this is why I'm saying that Ambassador Nyambo did a fantastic job, because he was linking with everyone. And so when we got there, it was just a matter of scheduling President Boyka's first before President Weah, which is what he said, and it makes perfect sense. So
okay. I'm going to hold you 1 minute because something is escaping. Can you tell the producer to come on 1 minute? Ladies and gentlemen, hold on. We'll continue. We got to make a quick switch. Nelson, can we please reposition Veronica? Let put her on your seat. It would be better if you don't mind, Nelson, because we need a clear interview here. So guys, you're gonna hang with us while we bring back Veronica Mamindo. They're gonna switch seat because we want her to be very clear. She's skipping. I was going back to the question, who were asking for those invoices? And then we will get into the real juice of this conversation. We are having a family round dining room table conversation. It's not like your everyday interview, but we'll get the best out of this conversation. Continue to share the show, and we will give you nothing but the best news. Now, we will go back to ask about everything that been out there on the street, and I want to welcome you. Continue to join us. We have Veronica Mamindo in studio. Again, we will go back in studio once she's seated, and then bring you the rest of the news. I'd like to welcome Barbara Watson. Barbara Watson, Striker Do is here. David Williams is here. Let's bring in A.B. Kamala. A.B. Kamala, thank you for joining us. We're going to bring Ishmael Raham, Godfrey Sonin, Michael Son is here. Freeman is here. Friar Zuluba is here. Helena Nyapan. Amirada, I know you're enjoying this interview. I'm seeing your comments. Why they reposition themselves, I'm going to say to you, let me flag some of your comment. It's always good. You know, we will get to the carb meat. Most of you guys want to talk about that. Pork to carbs, we'll talk about it, but we'll talk about some seriousness about the former President George Manneh. We have the current president, the former president, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I believe we'll be hearing Madam Veronica do very well. Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me, Nelson? Can we have some?
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good. Thank you very much. I think it's better this way. Thank you very much. So let us get into it. I was asking, who was asking for invoices? The former president or the current president?
The former president. The former president, was asking for invoices. He was extremely engaged with Ambassador, and I was being kept into the loop. So I was really, really looking for a really real reconciliation. And I just thought it was happening because he, from I didn't speak to him directly. So from what I was speaking with the ambassador, he was really looking forward to coming. He said we're a family, and he really wanted to meet because I've never met him before, despite what everyone said. I've never met him before. So I was really looking.
Wait. In all your life, you never met the former president before?
Never. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. 2001, my mom was invited to the State of the Union in January 12th or 21st, 2021. So I was in the audience.
2001.
No, 2021.
2021.
Yes.
Okay.
So my mom was on the stage. We were invited. I took her, and I was in the audience. So that's when it was the first time I actually saw him. Mouse. So it was the first time I actually saw him. But of course,
before we get to the invoices, when you saw him 2021, you guys exchanged conversation?
No, I mean, when you're president and you're given the State of the Union, you don't really talk to people you don't know. He wouldn't have recognized me.
Did he recognize your mom?
He just came in. She was on the stage. You know how they do the outline. So
Correct.
All the people were sat on the stage, and he was standing at the podium. So he just came in, did his speech. I'm not sure if he actually turned around. So he wouldn't have ignored her because he probably wouldn't have seen her because there's so many people. Does that make sense?
Did he say anything to you or your mother after the speech?
No, he wouldn't have had a chance to because it was packed. It was so many people. He wouldn't have been able to. I mean, he was shaking people's hands in the crowds, but those were the people that he would have known. He definitely wouldn't have known me.
So you were in the audience.
Yes.
You saw him. You didn't say anything to him. He didn't say anything to you.
He wouldn't have seen me to say anything to me. He wouldn't have recognized me, rather. Because
I understand. But let's just go back. You didn't say anything to him. He didn't say anything to you.
I waved because everyone was cheering.
Okay.
To the State of the Union speech, it's almost euphoric. So everyone was happy. People were clapping because it's when they were making all the promises that they were going to do for that year. So it was a nice feeling. It was a buzz, like, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So it was really nice. So I waved.
Thereafter, after the program, do you remember saying anything, talking to the former president? Do you
No,
remember that your mother getting you involved with the conversation about her benefits and other stuff that would come to since?
it was a public gathering, so it was a public meeting. It's not something to go and talk to someone
No, no, I
about.
say after that meeting. After that meeting. You remember
Oh,
anything?
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I can't remember the year that she actually went to see him. So yeah, so that would have happened before, with the recording that we now have.
Yes.
So because that recording was right after the inauguration, it wasn't long after. It was within that same 2018 year. So it would have been a couple of years that we went to the State of the Union address.
When your mother went to see the former president,
Hmm.
you wasn't there, right? Were you?
No. I was at home. I didn't go with her. It was her, it was another gentleman, and it was our cousin Nathaniel. They went there together. So it was three of them.
When your mother passed away, did
Hmm.
you receive a phone call from the former president, George Manawiya?
No.
He have never called you since?
I've spoken to him on phone. Ever.
Did you, I mean, when you went to Liberia, you never talked to him? You never spoke to him?
No, so the only phone number we had was for the protocol at that time, which was Finda Bono. Is that how you say her name? Finda
Yes.
Bono. Findo or Bono. Yeah, so that was the number that we had. So, she had gone back and forth to the offices quite a few times. So that was the number that was given. And that was the number that her number was blocked from. So she couldn't get through.
Okay.
After, yeah.
So let's talk about the death. You went to Liberia, you arrived in the country.
Mm-hmm.
The former president didn't talk to you. Did any of the other, did Madam Sadiq talk to you? Have she spoken to you? I'm
What?
sorry, we got people on the radio that want to hear your answer.
No, I've never
Did
I've never
President Barker call you? He spoke to you by the phone?
Sam. He called Sam a week after she had passed on his way to a trip. So Sam spoke to him. And I spoke to the Minister of State. He called me to ask me if it was true. So, but it
Okay.
wasn't on behalf of himself, because I do talk to him, once in a while.
So none of the president, former or current, call you directly?
Not me, no. But
Who is your
probably
mother POA?
point of contact?
Yes.
Well, it depends. So in general, in administrative stuff, it would be me,
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in Liberia would be who?
Would be her grandson,
And
Hanson.
what's the name?
Hanson.
Hanson.
Yeah.
Did they know that you was a POA administratively?
I mean, people came to the yard, and then he would call me, and I would talk to them. So a lot of people came. So I did speak to some representatives who came. For example, some of the former representative Alfonso, he was there from day one, and also Representative Sokan. He's been amazing. He's been there pretty much every single day, although he'd never really met my mom. So we got relationships from people going to the yard and asking for numbers and putting me on the phone. And also, the reason I had said that Ambassador Yambo was excellent was because he was in the yard every single day. He was managing the committee. I mean, honestly, it's just now I'm hearing about all the committees that are formed for wakes. So he was there managing it, making sure things are done, people are fed, so there was a lot of things in motion on the ground. So if someone had gone to the house, they would have probably gotten hold of me, because he was definitely there. And so Ambassador Yamba was putting me on the phone with some people who was there. And also
Okay. And I think we got in somewhere. I want to appreciate all of your answer. Let's get to ask you more questions here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us, we are speaking to Veronica Mamine Doe, the daughter of the former president, Samuel Kanyan Doe, and that of the former first lady, our own mother, Nesibi Doe. Again, our sympathy goes out to the family. Why were you angry? And why did you return the former president 2 cars, 50 vehicle arrests, and 5,000 back?
So let me just set the stage. I had never met him in person before, so I was looking forward to actually meeting him for the first time, as I said earlier. And, you know, I was hopeful because of the conversations between him and Ambassador Yambo that things really would have been a real reconciliation. And all I was expecting was him to say he was sorry. Let's forget everything because, you know, with us being Kron, you know, you have to, most times, you know, it's at funerals, burials is where people come together and, you know, you have to act when you forget it and you move forward. So that's what I thought was going to happen based on the conversations that were being had, although I didn't speak to him myself. And so, and also, I just really wanted him to say sorry about the treatment for my mom, not so much for me, because I had really put that behind me, like the letter response to his condolence message. It was already behind me once the conversation started, you know. But I just want us to move to a better place because we're supposed to be family. There's supposed to be unity amongst us. And also, I just really wanted an ally, you know, in Liberia. I just really wanted someone who we can connect with, family can, and just, you know, put it behind us. So I had huge expectations on that front. A simple sorry would have done. But then when the conversation started, you know, it was implied that my mother was a liar, you know, and saying that he'd met her 3 times, when in fact it was actually only 1 time. And also she had gone on the record to explain her experience. So you remember she had gone on the OKFM before, a couple years before, and she was being asked a lot of questions, and she just refused to answer anything. She had that hope that there would be a connection. You know, she was holding on to something. It was only in the last years where she was just making peace that maybe this will never ever happen, and I'm not carrying this burden any longer. So all of that, with her being implied that she's a liar, number one. And also bearing in mind, my mother, I'm just still adapting the fact that she is no longer here. And then getting said that, oh, the dead don't speak or the dead can talk. That really just hit my heart, you know? It's like a stab, is what I felt like. And then when he sat down, I did ask him again. I said, when did you say the last time you met my mother was? How many times have you met her? He said 3 times. So he pretty much echoed everything he said up there in his seat. And then so I was just fuming. And then I turned around. That's when I turned around and spoke to the ambassador and said, no, I can't accept this gift. I can't. And he said, okay, we'll talk about it later. Okay. So it was those things. And then I think the straw that really broke the camel's back was when he turned to me and said, oh, I thought you were coming to my place. So then I turned around again to my uncle and said, this program has gone on for too long. It needs to end. It needs to end now. So then my uncle walked up to the convoy and the protocol, and whatever he said, that's when, you know, the former president got up and he did a side hug. And then when he went trying to walk to the car, that's when they told him, oh, we're not ready to go yet. And then that's when he sat back down. And then I re-echoed, I can't accept this money. He's like, okay. So what I didn't want to do was to stand up and cause an embarrassment, especially.
So let me hold you. I know you said something. Did the former president said to you, I told you were coming to my place?
Yeah.
Were there any arrangement that you were to go to his place?
You know, that had been broached, but I thought it was unacceptable. Absolutely no way. I'm the one who was.
Sorry, I didn't. Let's go back. Were there any arrangement? You said that has been broached. What's that? What was that?
Well, from my end, it wasn't concrete. It was just a conversation that was had. It was just like, would you consider, because of the scheduling stuff that we're trying to arrange? And then I said, absolutely not.
So let me hold you. So let me hold you. Who asked you to go visit the former president, to go to his place? Who? How did it come about?
Well, I don't want to go into that.
No, we have to go into that, because if somebody said to you,
but
any arrangement were made.
I think a lot of things were probably thrown out there in terms of scheduling. So when that was said, I said it's absolutely unacceptable. This is someone who I've never ever met, and besides, given the current environment, I'm the one who's being, I don't go anywhere. I stay in my house, and I'm met in my house. So I didn't think anything of it until he said, "I thought you were supposed to come to my house." And all I said was, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." And then I turned around to my uncle and I said, "This program is going on for too long. It needs to end." And then that's when he got up and spoke to the envoy.
Did your uncle ask you to go visit a former president? We have to come back to this now, because you are Benview, like everybody. So I mean, everybody shut down everything and they listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
You are saying the president turned to you and said, "I told you were supposed to come to my house." That is a breaking news.
Not house. So it could have been an office, but he said, "I thought you were supposed to come to my place." So probably not house.
Yeah, I thought you were going to come to my place. Let's say exactly what he said. I thought you were going to come to my place. But my point is that were there any prior arrangement of you going to the former president place?
No, it was not an arrangement. What was happening was a discussion. Would you consider? And I said, absolutely not. So I didn't really think.
Who asked you? Who brought up the discussion that would you consider?
Well, it's my uncle, because he's the one who's making all these arrangements. You know, he's multitasking with the government, with the reps and stuff. So I didn't take it in bad faith. The reason I objected really was because I've never met this person, and also I'm the one who's grieving. You can't go to someone else's house and present yourself as the grieving child or whatever. It just wasn't acceptable. So I never entertained it, and I never thought much of it. So when it was brought up for discussion, because we were thinking about what time, what day, you have that discussion. We're trying to schedule meetings. So I didn't really think anything, but I just never thought.
So your uncle, I'm sorry. So your uncle asked you when? When did he ask you? When you were on your way to Liberia? When you got to Liberia? When did he ask you?
When I was already there. Yeah.
When you were in Liberia?
Yes, he was trying to make a lot of arrangements with limited schedules with people who are extremely busy. Do you understand? I don't think it was done in bad faith. I just think it was just a suggestion. But I didn't think much of it. So I think because I was already annoyed with what had transpired, that was just the last straw. It's like, okay, this program needs to end,
Did you say this program needs to end because he said, "I thought you were coming to my place"?
No, because I was already, to get, when there's an implication that your mom is a liar, everything else is red. You don't really see anything else. That's all you're hearing, right? And then when you're being reminded that the dead don't talk, and then you're the one who's trying to get touched, like, okay, my mom is now being referred to as the late, and she is dead, and she is still in the morgue, cold, and we haven't buried her yet. So it's just that accumulations of things. So when he had mentioned that, it was too much for me to bear. But what I did not want to do was to embarrass him and embarrass people on a public stage. That's what I did not want to do. So the plan was for him to return things silently and diplomatically. So because he's the kind of person who can handle stuff. He's very good. So I didn't think my request was out of the ordinary, because I was talking to him throughout the whole day, and I was telling him, nope, that's not acceptable. I reject that. So he knew my thoughts.
Yeah, can you put the name to the he? He, your uncle, Ambassador Yanklo, correct?
Mm-hmm. He's the only one who's. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you wanted the former president. We'll talk about President Barker, and we'll talk about Zoe Penno. We'll talk about everyone else tonight. You wanted the former president to apologize. Apologize.
Even privately, it wasn't supposed to be public. It was, it was just supposed to be a private conversation between us to say, look, I may have said this. I wish I had done this better. Or even someone said, I wish I had called her. I wish I had done this. Would have been suffice. Let's move on. Because you cannot say let's move on without acknowledging what was done wrong. I mean, my mom cried, for God's sake.
We want to play the clip of Mommy. My question is now to you, what exactly you want? Probably the former person is listening to you right now. What exactly you want him to apologize for?
Sorry for the way he treated my mother. Simple. If you've seen the clip, you've seen the clip. If that was your mom saying that, right?
Do you want us to play the clip? We have played it. I mean, we have it in studio. I'm just asking you. Your mom said a lot of stuff, and you wanted him to say, "I'm sorry."
I just want people to put themselves in my position. If that was your mom, explaining all the things that she had endured for 6 years from someone who she thought would have changed things for her, because she's not begging. This is her entitlement. It's just someone to say, okay, yes, this is your entitlement. This is what we're going to give you. Simple. It was no need for all of that aggro for her to make her
consider, and I agree, we'll come there. Like everyone would say in Liberia, oh, George, we had President Doe's son. You buy that? You think that when people say that, you feel proud that the former president is a son of, he got a son by the name of George. We are doing it's not his biological son, but he made him, he exposed him. You take pride in that?
I think he's the only African footballer to have won that golden ball, isn't it? So
yeah, that was great achievement. Yep.
So it's fantastic. It's a proud moment for all of us because he did something where most Africans, and how many talented African players are there? There are many. So he's done a great achievement. So for my father to be a part of that is, of course, is great. But we just do not want the words. We just want more than we want action.
Okay.
And also, if your family has done something wrong, you apologize, especially at the death of someone, because a lot of the thing that's happening now in my family now is people just assume that probably, you think someone is going to live longer, and then you realize, oh, that they're no more. So I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have said this. Or I wish I didn't do that. So it's the time for us to all get together, and that's what we were hoping for.
So let's go back 6 years. Your adopted brother, the former president. Everybody would say yes, that Sam Kayando's son. That's what we heard growing up. It was the president of Liberia, Mommy. Mm-hmm. Did you achieve anything? Let's talk about you. Let's talk about your siblings, especially your brother. What was the story between the former president and your brother, and your mother appealed to him? Let's talk.
Well, I think she said everything she had to say. She went there specifically that day, for his job to remain, because I think my brother had heard rumors about that he was going to lose his job. So, my mom says, okay, since I've been invited, because it was the first lady photo opportunity. So she said, okay, since I'm going to go there, I'm going to have this opportunity to talk to him. And so that's what happened. And she just was asking about his job. So everything she said on the tape is what happened.
Did you talk to your brother? You think he was treated well? I mean, can we talk to him tonight? If you think we can. Do you think your brother was treated well under the 6 years of the former president, George Manneh?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think he wanted to talk to you himself, but I'm not sure, because you didn't respond on time. So I'm not sure if he's available. But you would best be able to speak to him. I don't think he was treated poorly, because although he was released from his job at that time, he did get a consultancy role. Probably a year or 8 months afterwards, he did get another role. It wasn't the role that he had, and there was a gap of about a year or so maybe. But he would be the best person. So I wouldn't say he was treated horribly. I think it was my mom. So my brother wasn't entitled to that job Do you understand? It's not like my mom who was entitled to her pensions or her benefit. His job, you serve at the pleasure of the president. That's why it was a request, you know? So his job was a request. It wasn't a demand. If he didn't get the job, he didn't get the job. It wasn't an obligation. So I can't say he was treated poorly because he wasn't.
Do you think that the former president stopped your mother from receiving her pension?
No, because she wasn't receiving it before. So he didn't stop. He just didn't give it to her.
Do you blame Madame Sirleaf and now the current president, Joseph Boakai, for your mother not receiving her pension before? Or not 12 years of that?
I mean, well, let me just make this caveat. I'm not a political person, and I don't aspire to be. And part of the reasons I'm here is to really explain my mom's story in terms of what she endured, So other than just this, there's so many things that she endured. And I think her treatment started badly after President Taylor, because, President Taylor treated her awesome. He gave her 2 cars. He did so much. He told her about the benefits, about pension, what was entitled to. He told her about her husband's death benefits. I think he started the process, the application for it. So, and he also returned all her security, just all her benefits that's in the Constitution for them to receive. He did that for her. You understand? So after he left, we were expecting the same thing. But mind you, the treatment that she got from President Taylor, it was the same thing that my father gave to the former First Lady. But people don't know that. They had a one-on-one relationship, former First Lady, Mrs. Stolbert. They had a good working relationship for over 10 years of the period. My mom used to talk it, but it was just my mom saying. We didn't realize how true it was until Mrs. Talbot's daughter, who we had invited to the Sam McInerney Foundation, said, well, I'm not able to attend, but let me tell you my relationship with your father. And she started telling us so much, how they were close, how they had one-on-one relationship, and my father would not allow her mother to contact anyone else regarding anything, all the properties, all the pension, the funding, the payroll, everything went through him. And so she said they became close, they became good friends, because they knew what really happened on that night. And also they knew who was really in charge. So there was a lot of things that they were able to lay to, he asked for forgiveness, So she said she was able to tell us that stuff. Like my mom would say, oh, sometimes my father would come home and say, oh, I just met Mrs. Talbot today. We discovered this, and I had to give her this check because of this. And yeah, so she had grown up. My mom had been aware that, my father had a very good relationship. None of her cases went to court because it was through the president, and she could come and go directly to his office. So she was expecting something similar. So when when former President Taylor reciprocated that, she was happy. Of course, with the war and everything, but he was doing to her what my father had done to Mrs. Talbot. They had been close. And even his daughter had said that, because she was a pastor, the first daughter, said that before the war came, the Lord laid upon her heart for her to take a Bible to my father and pray with him, and for him to give his life to Christ. We didn't even know that. We didn't think he was a Christian, but she told us all that. And she told us so much more personal stuff about how they were great. So after President Taylor and everything that had transpired, it was almost like it was just blockages for my mom everywhere. Then she had to fight for my father's death benefits in the court, and then she had to prove that he was actually indeed president of Liberia. I know you wouldn't believe it, but it was true. And that was a 5-year battle where they said, okay, we're not going to say he was president for 10 years, but we're just going to say he was president for 5 years. So based on that, we would give him a portion of his death benefits, which they did. And then that came because this was the former chief Supreme Court judge, Johnny Lewis. He was really insistent, he really, and he used to come call my mom and say, look, I'm trying really hard, but my hands are tied. So it was the system. I'm saying this not to blame any particular government, but it was the system. So someone, which is the head, had to really go and say, okay, this system is unacceptable. So that's the reason she had blockages. We had over 7 cases in court from 20 years, you know?
So my question to you, Mama, what did Madam Salif do to help your mother situation, her pension, her husband pension, her benefit, your husband benefit? What did the Madam Salif and Joseph Boakai 12 years in government, what did it do to alleviate the pressure your mother went through?
Well, I'd rather not call names. Let me just call dates. So what we do know was that she never got it after President Taylor. Still. So she's deceased now, still without it. She had a very tumultuous relationship with Madame Salif. So many things transpired between them, you know? But also she had quite a few champions. She had champions in Mr. Francis Dunbar. She had champions in Councillor Josh Karanda, who I only met once on when he was ill in hospital before he passed away. And also Chief Justice Johnny Lewis. They were saying this is not acceptable, but we cannot do anything about it. Do you understand? So that's what had happened. So the last thing that Chief Justice Johnny said was, okay, Madam Doe, let's just wait for the next government. Yeah, after this, let's just wait for the next government, which was December, 2017, when there was a change in government. So that's what she was waiting for. Do you understand? So that's what happened. But
so I mean, if you those that listen to you, you are telling us that Madam Salif didn't do anything for your mother and your family.
Yeah. I mean, the government then didn't recognize her as being first lady. And
Madam Salif government?
Let's just say the government after Charles.
That's Madam Salif government. There's no way I can say it.
Yeah, so you can say it. The government after President Taylor did not recognize her as being first lady because they said her husband was never the president of Liberia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a break? You need some water. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. So I even brought a document. I'm not even sure it can show. So it was just an email correspondence. It's just proposed. So it was an out-of-court settlement where they had to agree. I'm not sure if you can see it. No, you can't see it. So it's just
an out-of-court. Screenshot it and send it to me if you'd like us to put it up.
Yeah, so it's just a out-of-court settlement where they had to agree that he wasn't present for 10 years, but he was present for 5 years and that was 5 years going back and forth in court. Do you understand? So if your husband is not a president, then the person is telling you you're not first lady. So she was not recognized at all. And also she had an invitation to go to the US in 2015 because she was being recognized by the Niao Kran Association for her achievement being the first indigenous first lady. And so she went to the foreign ministry. This is 2015. And you know how you do, you take in your diplomatic passport and you say, okay, can I have a new passport, please? Because of course you have to say the reason, because I need to travel to this place. And say, okay, Madame Doe, we will take your passport and then we'll come back in a week or so. And then 1 week turned to months, and then months turned to years. And then eventually in 2021, we went there and demanded her passport. We said, look, it's too long. She needs to travel. And they said, well, your passport is the property, it's a government asset. You can no longer have a diplomatic passport.
I beg you, let me interrupt. I beg you. Mm-hmm. What year did she take her passport in?
2003.
2003.
15.
2015. Mm-hmm. Under the Madame Salif government. And what was the reason given that they couldn't give her the passport?
There wasn't any reason. It's just go come. You know how they do? It's just go come. It's not ready yet. We're having difficulties with this one. I'll give it back to you. Our system is down. And then they said, oh, the guy who does the diplomatic passport, he has traveled and he's sick. and he's on sick bay in America, and he won't come back for a year. So that was from 2015. She was just getting rejections until we actually went there and said, look, this is unfair. She needs to travel. You know, sometimes she has to come overseas for checkup. So she needs to travel. And then so the response was, that's when we got the response in 2021 that her passport had been seized because it's government property. So she wasn't eligible to apply for another one or to get another one. So
why did it seize it?
I don't know. So here's my mom's passport. This is
Nelson, can you screenshot it? We have to upload it. Nelson, please screenshot it, put it up. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, he's going to screenshot it. We are here with Mami Dope. If you give us the permission, we will screenshot it, Mami Dope, and put it up. That would be better. So is the producer in studio?
So so she died having been reduced from a diplomatic passport to just having an ordinary passport. I'm just saying this is like a systematic. So it wasn't.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's why. So you can imagine all these things. So she just knew that if she had seen someone in the head, because it was a system in place. You understand? And she was just blocked at every turn, because we would get calls from the clerks and say, you know, we're not your enemies. We're trying our best, but we're not allowed. I mean, if the Chief Justice, Johnny Lewis, can call us and say, I've tried everything and there's nothing we can do.
Let me ask you a question. Did your mother receive any benefit on the 12 years of Madam Sirleaf government? Did she receive any benefit?
For her husband, she received her husband's death benefits for having served for 5 years. She did get that.
Okay.
A 5-year battle in court. Because in order for you to
How much was that? How much was that, if you care to tell us?
Oh gosh. No, I think I'd rather not say.
Okay.
Because we know it's not the right amount, but I don't want to open that other can. But that information can be found out by yourselves. So I'd rather you guys confirm that on your end. Okay.
Did she receive a benefit as a first lady? She
was never recognized. She was told that she's not first lady.
Wait. I'm smiling because this is how I'm having a great conversation with you, and, you know, as a sister. And, you know, I really want us to just cool off the tension, folks. I've seen what you're posting out there. Mami Do is here to explain, and I hope we'll be able to get the truth today, like we are hearing. 12 years under Madam Sirleaf, under the Unity Party government. Did your mother receive any of her benefit as a former first lady?
For herself, for her services that she served for 10 years, 0.
Wow.
And when she had complained, she went to the press, and then we got a car, a white Chevrolet, a beat up car, towed into the yard. Say, since you want a car, here's your car. So then she had to find money to pay to get it out.
Let's come to currently. You have not spoken to the current president, who served as vice president for 12 years under Madam Sirleaf. Did your mother talk to him since he won the election?
No, but she used to speak to him, you know, when he was VP. And she always used to say that he was very nice to her, you know. He was very nice to her. She always used to say that, you know. So I spoke to him when he came to sympathize with me, you know. I was a bit apprehensive because we had written letters before, and my mom really wanted to speak to him regarding the reburial and everything, and we weren't able to actually get any response from those letters or those calls. But I can say when I spoke to the president, first of all, he was very, very sympathetic with me. You know, he apologized for not being able to come sooner. You know, he explained other things which I won't share, but pretty much his schedule. And also the fact that he even sent his VP, you know, he sent his VP Saturday before he came, and he came on a Thursday. So he just the way he
got it on a Friday.
Oh, he got there on a Friday. Yeah, on a Thursday. So just the way he spoke, he just reassured me. Of course, we're gonna have a state burial for your mom. You know, he spoke lovely things about my parents. You know, he acknowledged what they had done for the country. It was just so all the apprehension that I had just left. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't even thinking, oh, why didn't you respond? He's extremely busy. And then he was able to
So
put me.
we'll come to now, right?
Mhm.
I'm just trying to understand something. She didn't get her benefit 12 years under Unity Party government. Here come President George Manneh Weah. I want to keep President Barker for last because he's the current president. Please allow us to do so.
Sure.
Did she get her benefit under President George Manneh Weah?
Nothing.
Not as a first lady, nothing?
Nothing.
Wow.
I keep saying she wasn't recognized as the first lady. Yeah. So
no, you told me she wasn't recognized as first lady under Madame Sali, but what about President George Manneh Weah?
She was told to her face after President Taylor, she wasn't recognized. Because mind you, I told you we were in court, remember? We were in court to prove that Samba Kayando was in fact president of Liberia for 5 years. So we just thought that would be the best route instead of trying to prove that she was first lady. So we had to prove who she was. As if they weren't who they were. So we agreed and say, yes, let's come to an agreement that after 5 years of going back and forth in court, we will settle that he was president for 5 years. So that's how she was able to get a portion of his death benefits. But for her, she wasn't given anything because she still wasn't recognized as first lady. So it's like, okay, I'm going to recognize your husband for 5 years, but I don't have to recognize you as first lady. And she never was.
Wow. So 12 years of Unity Party, they couldn't recognize your mother as first lady. 6 years of CDC, they couldn't recognize your mother as first lady. That's 18 years. Your mother is hurt. Thank God 2023, we won the election. Did President Barker recognize your mother as first lady and give her a benefit?
We haven't received any benefits up to date, but I can tell you that when I spoke to him when he came, sometimes, the president is hard to get in touch with. So it's when I realized that we had been trying to reach him through probably not the right people, because the way he empathized with us and the things that he said, of course, she's first lady. Of course, why shouldn't she have a burial? Of course, your father. So it's almost, I didn't even have to explain. He just put my mind at ease right away. And he said,
so, mommy, of course, President George Weah said she was a first lady, but he didn't give her benefit, right? So I'm not looking for one to say she's a first lady. I'm looking to see who gave her that benefit when she was alive. You are saying all these years, your mother, we recognize her because we grew with it. I was born 1975. Though was my president. That here, and my thing is that for us to even question whether your mother was a first lady, and she didn't get her benefit today, I see on the life if you were saying, man, that's shocking.
So let me ask Nelson. So this is a letter, a stipulation for withdrawal from my mother to withdraw the case against the government, saying that we won't pursue them and to come to a settlement that my father was president for 5 years. So that was the negotiation.
Who honor which government?
So you'll see it.
Okay, Nelson, can you put it up? I beg you, just upload everything, screenshot them. Let's show it to our folks, ladies and gentlemen. Nelson, you have to put them up. Don't send it to me, please. Just put them up. We got to share it. While we uploading all this document, now we understand your mother passed away without receiving any of her benefit as first lady.
And also the reason that she was even more hurt was because when her passport was taken, was because that would have been the first time that she was recognized in the US, because that was the time that she was supposed to travel to America. I forgot her plaque to get her award. So that would have been her first recognition, and which is what she explained. So almost like, oh, okay, so you think you're going to get recognized. That's why they didn't say anything. I told you there was GoCom. So we were on GoCom for 7 years until 2021, when they actually said point blank, your passport has been seized, is government property, and it cannot be renewed. So then she had to go and get a ordinary passport to travel.
All right, while we wait for the document, Mommy, let's talk about a little bit. I want us to leave the precedent for a minute. We'll come back to it, and actually what's going on now with those two cows and everything. We heard that it on the way to Grand Jita. We'll get to it.
What?
Let's
Is
talk
it?
about. No, I mean, you're gonna tell me. You're gonna tell me where are they? I mean, but we're gonna come to it. I love to give a little tease, Mommy. But let's come back to somebody I really want us to talk about, Zoe Penham. Who is Zoe Penham to you?
Zoe Penham is a demon.
He is what?
He is a demon. He is evil.
Oh wow.
So that is one of the reasons I'm here, because people are saying, people are saying, why is it you're not doing the burial first? That was the plan, right? Who wants to talk about their mother's grief, and who wants to talk about it publicly? No one does. I sure don't. And people who know me know that I don't usually do social media. I haven't been on Facebook on my own name for about 6-7 years. I only just came in because of this situation under my own name. But normally I'm dormant, and I switch it off. I just turn it off. So probably I should have said it first. But one of the reasons I'm here, the main reason, is because, my mother's voice before the nation, I needed to explain her struggles, because if we're going to bury her, I want all that challenges to be buried along. And I want her to be heard, because she was not heard. It is very regrettable that her voice was not accorded any honor. It wasn't listened to at all, anywhere. Because remember, she went on the OKFM, and she went on the Prince Double Show, and they too, they really promoted her, and they were really seeking. They used to contact us. Have you heard anything yet? Has this happened? And nothing. So I'm just here really because she lived as if she was never, ever First Lady of Liberia. No benefits, no pensions, no acknowledgements, no privileges. Like I said, her diplomatic passport was stripped from her, and she died with an ordinary passport. Because there were systems, there were barriers put in place. I think it only could have taken a president to intervene rather. So, so that's why that's the first reason I'm here. And the second reason is to really reveal how Zoe Penham was instrumental in the demise of my mother. Yeah. So not only was he instrumental in tormenting her while she was alive, he is going out of his way for us not to have a burial. It's not the government, it's anything else. It's Zoe Emmanuel Penham. He tormented that lady for so long, So even after her death, Zoe is still being a menace in her burial process. He stopped certain people from going. He's blocked this from happening. There's so many sabotages. That's the second most important reason I'm here. It's not because of fame or this. I don't even do social media. I don't even report about myself. I don't even have, my account was just activated after my mother died. And after the burial, I'm going to deactivate it too. But I can't stand there and do nothing and let her burial just go up in shits. Excuse my language. So that's the reason, is to let the government know, let everyone know, because I'm sure people always wanted to help my mother. But Zoe Penham has blocked her profit, in addition to the systems that have been put in place against her. But Zoe has been the enforcer. I mean, Zoe is truly evil. I just cannot begin to tell you how evil he is. Even, because we're first cousins. So people from his side, of course, to visit us. And they were saying, all of them, quite a few people were saying, oh, when we heard that your mother had passed away, Zoe was celebrating. He was happy. He said, okay, unless Veronica Mommy Doe come and beg me and hold my feet, yeah, I'm going to make sure that no one from the government talks to her. I'm going to make sure that I don't even acknowledge her because I have power over these governments. And he said, okay, let him go and bury her at Center Street at night. So he was celebrating. So of course, I know how much he tormented her. I banned him. Do not come to the wake. Do not come to the burial. Stay away from us because you caused this. The only thing you're going to be doing here is laughing. So that is the reason I'm here.
What's the family relationship with Zopana?
So his sister is, I'm sorry, his mother is my father's older sister. So we're first cousins.
When last have you spoken to Zoe? When was the last time you spoke to him?
The last time I spoke to Zoe was 2023. 2023. And the reason I spoke to him then was because, you know, he's always having family reconciliation. Okay, I'm going to bring your father documentation. And also he has my father's documents. I'm going to bring your father documents. This is what he promised my mother in 2023. He said, oh, Mom, I'm going to make sure I take you to President Weah. He's always at my house. We're always eating together. We're good friends. I'm going to take you there. I'm going to make sure I speak to the president. They're going to give you your benefits. They're going to recognize you as who you're supposed to recognize. You're going to have all your privileges, you know, everything you're supposed to get. I'm going to make sure you get it. So my mom says, you know what? Things are, you know, and also he said all your court cases, you know, especially the one with Vonnie Sherman. He said, I'm going to make sure that you get it. I'm going to make sure that everything, the VAMUMA, the Vonnie Sherman, everything, even the ECOWAS, I'm going to make sure that everything is settled. It shouldn't take me no more than a month. Everything will be fine. And I said to her, I said, Mom, please don't go. This guy has been saying this thing for the past, I don't know, 15 years, and nothing has happened. We always meet him. And after we meet him, my mom gets ill. So I told her not to go. And she still went. And he had given the money and said to my mom, okay, here's $300. We're going to celebrate at your house first on one day, on a Saturday, and then on Sunday, you'll come to my house. But at your house, I would like you to take this $300 and buy a white sheep and kill the white sheep in your house. And then a lady from Guinea, she was like, you know, just visiting. And she said to my mom, don't you dare do it. Well, we want to kill people spiritually. That's what we do. We sacrifice white sheep in the yard. And she called me to tell me. And she said, just tell him you can't eat sheep, but you can eat goat. So go and get yourself a goat. So my mom, you know, had the cook go and buy the goat and cooked it. And so he came over and he realized that it wasn't sheep, it was goat. And then he said, oh, he was mad actually. He just pushed it one side and just ate popcorn. So the next day, my mom went over to his house to do the celebration because it's the reunification thing. This is like the third time in 10 years. And they ate everything, they drank, you know, they were happy, they were talking. And then she said to his mom, Auntie Decio, who's my father's older sister, said to him, okay, so tomorrow, I want you to come over to my house. No, not tomorrow, the next weekend, because this is Sunday. Come to my house. Let's drink. Let's have fun. Let's have lots of liquor and eat fufu and stuff. And then the lady said to her, before I go back to your house, let's wait for a year and see where you are. Let's see where we are within a year. So my mom said, what does that mean? She said, yeah, just go back and see. And then in a year, and then if you're okay, then we'll come back and celebrate. Stanton, I kid you not, my mom was deathly ill that night. She thought she was going to die. She said she felt like she was being roasted, like on fire, you know, like how you do the spit roast. She said it's like fire all over her body. She couldn't breathe. So then she called her pastor and said, look, and he said, but I told you not to go. You've already given yourself to him spiritually. Don't go. But you've won. So the only thing you can do now is first thing in the morning before 6 o'clock, leave your house at 5:30. Get to his house, get on your knees and hold his feet and ask him to forgive you, ask him to release you and say, I haven't done anything to you. You have to release me. You're my son. So my mom did that. 5:30 in the morning. She got there. She got on her knees. You know, she had to be helped on her knees because she was very unwell. And then she did it. And he said, okay, mama, wait. Let me go in the room. I'll come back. So he went in the room for 5-10 minutes and he came back. He said, I have released you small. So she still wasn't feeling better. He said, wait for 5-10 minutes. He helped her into the sofa. She sat down and then she felt a little bit better. And then that's how she left. And I brought her back to England right away. And from that day, she'd never recovered from that day.
Wow. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us. We got about 30 more minutes, like I said, 37 more minutes to stay with Mami Doe. A lot is happening here. Wherever you're joining us from, we want to say thank you. We just have to do this back and forth. Is there anything else you want us to know about Zoe Penna?
Well, Zoe feels that any government in power is under him. Unless he's not Zoe Penna. The thing is, he's boastful to us because he feels, oh, who's going to listen to you? I've made sure that no one hear you, So this is what I like to say. When my mom first returned back to Liberia, probably 2003, 2004, she was approached by now current Senator Edwin Snow I think that the government was doing renovations for houses that was bombed, that really were damaged during the war. So he came to her. He said, Mrs. Doe, I'm from the LPRC. We would like to fix up your house. Can we do an estimate? So he sent an engineer to her house, and they looked at it and said it was about $37,000. And he said, yeah, sure, Mrs. Doe, we're going to do it. So, and you can verify with him. And then so the next week, no one came, and she called him. She said, but my son, you said you're going to do this. He said, yes. Sorry, ma, you have to talk to your son, Zoe Penna. I don't want to be involved in family business. And then too,
I'm sorry, and that's Edwin Snow telling your mother.
Yeah. And then too, so prior to that, in 1991, during the Amos Sawyer administration, he said that the Doe family should come and claim that, his cars and stuff. And Zoe, no one nominated him, but of course, 91, 92, we weren't in the country. He went ahead and he claimed all of our cars. He was driving the white cars, the red cars, some of his clothing. When we used to see Zoe, he used to be wearing our father's clothes, and we don't have anything to remember him in terms of material stuff. So that's another thing. We went to the Lebanese community, to the president, and we said to him, my father was doing businesses with you guys. Can you tell us, can you let us know information? And he said, yeah, sure, we're happy to. We're going to have a meeting and come back to you. So they had a meeting to agree to help my mom and her sister, especially she wanted to renovate her houses and to be part of the businesses that my father was in. And they came back and said, look, you have to talk to your family. This is family business. Zoe said that we cannot help you, or else we're going to lose our businesses. And I'm in Liberia to make money. I'm not in Liberia to cause trouble. So that's what happened.
Who said that? Which one of the Lebanese leaders said that?
So this is like 2004 or 5. So whoever was the Lebanese president at that time in, the Lebanese Association, I don't know the name because I wasn't in Liberia at that time. But with Isa Eid, my mom spoke to him and said that was a house that he was selling. And she said, that's my husband's house. And he said, yeah, it is. But has Zoe agreed? So what I wanted to say is the reason Zoe has our documents is in 1990, May, during the war, my father called my mother and said, look, I don't think I'm going to get out of here because the war is much worse than I was being led to believe, because now he started patrolling himself. So I won't be able to get out. I have a lot of things here. So my sister DCO, which is Zoe's mom, is leaving for Ivory Coast. So I gave her some things, some briefcases to bring to you and the children. And I remember that conversation vividly because my mom was really upset because she had only just left 2 or 3 weeks prior, with the kids. She said, why didn't you give it to me? I just left. He said, but I didn't know things were going to turn this way. I thought we would have agreed some sort of peace, like a 2-month window where everyone can leave. Because, he was trying to secure peace for 2 months because he was being asked to choose who to take with him. And he wasn't able to say who he could take. So he was working on a 2-month peace agreement. And he told us, so I know them arguing. And also, if you were to hear the Prince Dubber tape, you would hear that she's asking, she explained all that whole story. So I won't even go to details about the documents, but because we know that he has them, you know. So he's just been blocking everything, you know. Zoe Penu is not a doe. He's our cousin, but he's not a doe. He wouldn't allow, you know, his wife nephew to come and run the company when his wife is a Sadie. You just don't do that, you know. But he's been posing as a Doe family representative and forging documents, you know, to conduct official businesses, you know. So even one time when my mom in 2020, she went on the Grand Judah radio and said, "Don't vote for Zoe. He is evil. He's done this. He's done that." Zoe's mother made a recording on WhatsApp. I wish if anyone has that recording, if they could send it to us. Zoe's mother said, "Yes, my brother gave it to me, but he gave it for me. It's not for you. You're not married to him. You know, your name is Nancy Bond. It's not Nancy Doe." I don't know what she was thinking. So I have it, and it's for me, and it's for my son. Your husband was president. Now it's my son's turn. So my mom said, "What, you think the presidency is like a country club, a family membership? Who told you your wicked son is even able to be anything like a president? It's not you to determine. Give us our documents." And so on that recording, she admitted it. So Zoe has done so many things. I mean, everyone knows all these murders allegedly that he's done with the magistrate. Nothing comes out of it. You know, he had imprisoned people in jail for up to 18 years. I think they were only just released. Nothing comes out of it. You know, he's a man all to himself. To the late Guion, where he went everywhere and he said, "Oh, all my things are happening is because of Zoe," and nothing happened.
Are you listen? I know this is an independent network. Are you accusing, alleging that Zoe Pena is engaged in murder?
Of course he is. Of course he is. I know that he was the main cause of my mother's death. You know, so when people are trying to make me political about this, and I am not political. I'm just, my experience with individuals, understand, and the way they have treated my mother is what I'm focused on. I don't follow CDC policy. I don't follow UP. I don't follow politics, period. My issue is the way individuals in every government has treated her. So I'm not here to lambast all the entire government. No, I'm not. I have no dealings with politics. My thing is, so I don't even know which party Zoe is, because I know he was with CDC and then he went to UP. So I don't know which one he is. Yeah. But so it's not about politics, you know. So people are making things like, okay, I'm former president. I'm not. I am not.
But the thing is that you got nothing to say that, well, Zoe is engaged. That's a person, of course. You know, these are allegations that he engaged in murdering some people out there. He's a sitting senator. He represents your county, Grand Judah. But you are accusing him and making this huge allegation that he involved in killing individuals.
Yeah. I am, because he is. I mean, everyone knows it. So when you talk about the former magistrate, I mean, on his Facebook pages, he was writing, he was getting threats. You know, he's before he died, he let a threat, and he was telling people, "This person is after me because I don't want to rig the election." You know, so
is Zoe involved with your mother passing?
I believe so. I mean, he tormented her. Even she was dying and she was crying out for him. She was like, you know, she was crying and she was sick and she was like, "Oh, Zoe, please." In her sleep, she'll have nightmares. "Zoe, leave me alone. Zoe, leave me alone. Zoe, leave me alone." The fact that she had to go and hold his feet for him to release her. In fact, he went back into his room. He said, "Okay, I'm going to release her a little."
So,